Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
This is our YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel and give this video a like.
Podcast below in the description.
Yeah, go check that out. All right, John. Jimmy Garoppolo. This was Jeremy Fowler's SportsCenter on Sunday. He wrote, of the 49ers, or he said, actually, they believe they can win with Garoppolo, but it would take a big swing, like a Deshaun Watson effect here, to make that change. That was SportsCenter Sunday. Jeremy Fowler, ESPN reporter. I don't view that as anything has changed. Nothing has changed as I read that. Does that mean anything to you?
I'm completely with you. That not only means nothing to me, I think they're overcompensating that they don't want to be like the Rams and Goff. Like, they just saw a team that is like in their division, the way they handle the situation. They have not done that at all with anybody, let alone a guy that they might end up being stuck with. And I know that they're not high on Jimmy. And it's just no human is. He's missed the entire season with an injury that countless other guys on the team came back from. A big part of ability is availability. I do think you got to be careful, though, because you start seeing the landscape. You go, well, there are a lot of teams in the mix right now. And if we do just get stuck with him as we head toward the draft, once free agency kind of ends and the trades ends, we don't want to get into a position where we just completely shit on him and are still have him on the roster, right?
Right.
But to me, if they get shut out, like Darnold gets dealt, let's say Deshaun Watson ends up getting dealt, Russell Wilson, let's just say chaos happens. All these quarterbacks move, nothing happens with the Niners. We've seen countless times before. I'd say, well, they're even more inclined now to make a move come the draft, trade up.
Yeah.
Because the moment they did that, they trade up in the draft to get to pick 6 or 7 and take Trey Lance or Justin Fields. Jimmy's technically still on their roster. Would we go that night when we're recording something? We go, is Jimmy traded by the morning, or do they roll it back with the two of them? We'd be like, yeah, everything's on the table, right?
Yeah. Well, everything is on the table, and part of that would depend on. We'll get to Mariota, but I think part of that, my reaction when you put me in that position is, well, do the Patriots have a quarterback? Could they? Part of it might be, yeah, we'll run it back with Jimmy unless someone gives us a 2 and then it becomes worth it, or unless someone gives us a 3 and then it becomes worth it. If we can only get a 5 for him, then yeah, we'll keep him around with this rookie. But I do think this has been consistent. Fowler said it. It's been consistent in the reporting. It was similar to what was said about Derek Carr, and it all focuses on Deshaun. Right? When the report is, unless they can hit a home run or some version of that, what does that mean? It means Aaron Rodgers demands a trade. It means Russell Wilson wants to get moved. But it really is about Deshaun.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense to do anything now if part of the Deshaun deal is everyone's just waiting to see if he'll actually get traded or not. I think ultimately if the Niners don't end up with Sam Darnold, part of that will be because they have chosen not to end up with Sam Darnold, right? If Sam Darnold gets traded and it's not to them, we'll have to see the compensation. But part of that will be they evaluated Sam Darnold and they would rather have whoever else they have, right? Whether it's a rookie or wait for Deshaun. But it means Jimmy. And I don't think it's unreasonable, as much as I would love the idea of seeing Sam with Shanahan, just kind of, can this guy play or not? It's not unreasonable to watch Jimmy Garoppolo and watch Sam Darnold and go, you know what? We'll go with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
I agree.
Okay, it's not unreasonable to do the same thing with Wentz. If Wentz ends up on another team, part of that will be they chose not to pursue it, right? To the degree with whatever the compensation is.
Yeah, and Wentz makes so much cash. I completely understand why the 49ers are not interested in that. With Sam Darnold, where I would understand not doing a Sam Darnold deal, there's an unknown he might not be good. And Jimmy might just be average too, but at least his average is already like Sam Darnold. You might not be able to win 8 games on a good team in meaningful games. Right? I know they went 7-9 2 years ago, but remember they won all these crappy games down the stretch. I'm talking the season started. You think we're a playoff team. You play the Rams. You play the Packers. You play whoever you're playing on a given week, and you're just like, we're playing another 12-win team. He might not be good enough. Jimmy might have his bad moments, but we've proven, if I'm Kyle Shanahan or I'm John Lynch, that I can compete with Jimmy Garoppolo. That to me is an unknown. Now, I'm intrigued just because I want something new. That's my take. Right. I just want something new. I'm just done with Jimmy. I'm tired of talking about Jimmy.
That's you, the John Middlecoff, and the the content creator, not you, the GM, right?
Yeah, and the former scout / football guy who just says, I don't depend on guys I can't depend on. Like I've seen Jimmy. He's let me down multiple times. When I've gone into a season thinking like, let's just see what he gone down, disappeared. I'm not in the business of guys I can't depend on at quarterback. And Wentz would clearly fall under that too. He's been hurt a bunch. Like that's where I'm at on Jimmy. But like, who am I? I'm good with doing the draft. I said over and over the Deshaun thing, and I know we've done other videos and topics and podcast stuff about this. Ideally, now Chris Ballard said this like a month ago. Like everyone's just like draft a quarterback. He's like, you don't think I know that? You can't just pick a quarterback because you need a quarterback if you don't love the quarterback. You got to like the quarterback. But that is the way. That is the way to like the Packers forever. They drafted Rodgers. The Patriots. Now I think we see the Steelers forever. Roethlisberger. The Patriots with Brady.
The Seahawks run started with it.
Yeah, it's just that's how you could, because you get to kind of build your team. It's just so much less complicated. Now there's a lot of unknown when you're drafting at 12. You don't know if you like 2 of the 4 guys, right? And when I say the 4 guys, Trevor doesn't count because he's gone. So you basically just go Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. I'd throw Mac Jones in there and Justin Fields. Well, you go, well, 2 of those 4 are probably gone by 5 or 6 potentially. So we don't even know. There's a huge unknown. That would be my move. I'd roll Jimmy to the draft, try to trade up to get the guy I like. And worst case, I just roll back. Ideally, I get the guy, and then I flip Jimmy during the draft, and then sign like a Fitzpatrick or whatever to play my bridge with my young guy.
Yeah, I mean that's the Fitzpatrick part. The bridge guy. The problem. This is why every time we talk about Jimmy or people DM me and ask me, "Do I think he'll be back?" And you get that. I've gotten that question so many times in my DMs. Like, what are my buddy and I are arguing right now? Who's going to be the week 1 starter? My reaction is generally like, look, I think they clearly are looking for another quarterback. They're very open to it. But replacing your quarterback requires you to have another quarterback. You don't just get to leave that spot empty for a couple of weeks and wait around until the right thing comes along. You have to play somebody there. And that is always the sticking point with replacing a quarterback is you have to have another quarterback. So
do you agree if they draft a guy either at 12 or move up even higher to get one of these guys, that guy's starting? Like Jimmy, to me, that guy and Jimmy Garoppolo will not be in the quarterback room together. Like that's hard to see. Not in today's day and age.
Yeah,
Kitna, Carson Palmer, back in the day, a little unique.
Well, part of it probably depends what do they think of him, but I gotta think that Kyle Shanahan, given his experience with, particularly that year with RG3, now RG was a highly drafted player.
Yeah.
But I got to think he believes, and I do kind of believe that Kyle can play with a rookie quarterback. The part where you just said is when you go Fitzpatrick, it's like, well, wait a second. If you're signing Fitzpatrick, who's your starting quarterback? Because Fitzpatrick probably would just beat that guy out, right? Given the fact that he's Ryan Fitzpatrick. So
but Jimmy might be better than that guy originally. Can you leave Jimmy Garoppolo next to Trey Lance when Jimmy goes, well, clearly, even if I play this year, I'm done after this year. Like, I don't fuck these guys.
Well, I think if your plan is to play him, if your plan is, if you draft Trey Lance, you're like, we do not think he's ready, but we got him. Jimmy's better. I do think you can play Jimmy Garoppolo. I do think you can do that because
we pay you $25 million. You can't complain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we drafted you and Tom Brady kept playing.
Yeah.
So, but again, like I'd be and
a little different when the guy's a top 10 pick.
It's true, it is, but ultimately, you got to do what's best for the team.
You're Tom Brady. What is Jimmy has no leverage to complain. Like Jimmy is leveraged out. You just show up when they tell you to show up,
and you try to keep that guy on the bench.
Yeah, but that's become a little bit, I'd say, in the NFL. People complain a lot more now, and they always have. But I'm just saying the quarterback thing. It just through the agents and the money.
I'm just saying nobody. Yeah, but nobody. They drafted Trey Lance. Great. You haven't been. Get on the practice field. Maybe won't be good. Like you just gotta put because the one thing I would say in that situation is you are still in a good. If you're gonna resurrect what people think about you, Jimmy Garoppolo, in that spot, what I would tell him is you're in a pretty good spot to do it.
Well. Yeah, to me,
right? Kyle Shanahan, Debo, the whole deal, Kittle.
The only way you'd keep Jimmy is like you didn't have a good offer, and you'll just like, we'll wait till next year or maybe the season. But the way I look at it, if you're willing to draft a guy in the top 10, he's got to play right away because then he builds toward his like where he's ready to win in year 2. You only have that 4-year run of his cheap contract.
I agree.
Like, to me, you got to go put all your chips in the middle table. And I would say if that happens, I would be stunned if Jimmy Garoppolo lasted 24 hours on the team.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's just is that scenario where if in your scenario where you said if they think he's the backup, not ready to play yet, then I do think you keep Jimmy. But if we're sitting here on draft day and they draft a quarterback, my immediate reaction is going to be how long until they trade? Is Garoppolo traded the next 5 minutes? Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of where
it would depend on destinations for sure.
It depends on where's Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
Where's Deshaun Watson? Where are all these other guys? Who's been drafted? Did somebody else, maybe somebody moved up and got somebody that we didn't expect. So